Hello there, and welcome back to War Thunder, to a gameplay that I was not quite sure if I should show it to you because it is debatable to say the least. But at the end, I think it is time to remind Gaijin in a video that something should be addressed, and I want to talk about certain issues. For example, why I rant in some videos or why I criticize certain things and what the purpose of this is. Then I show you this abusive gameplay, which mostly is self-explanatory. Then we talk a little bit about the map design, tank driving models and issues, and then at the end, Gaijin stuff. So it might be a bit controversial, so let's begin why I do it in the first place. It's not about video clicks and creating views, and also, I don't know, what do you call it? Clickbaiting, yeah, that's the thing. Because I think that's not good for a healthy, steadily grow of a YouTube channel, and at the end it's a video I don't rely on it, so I can do whatever I want to do. And this scene is now a first hint of what is wrong in the game. The inclination is so steep that the game thinks I'm in trouble, lets the crew disappear, at least visually, and gives me also the option of request team help. Yeah, map design issues on Ash River. Again, this is the original why I bothered to make a video about it. But on the other hand, why not? This has been in the game for years. People know about it for years. I have not abused the situation for years. And it has not been addressed. It has not been fixed. And more content has been thrown at the game, at the various different battle ratings. We saw new tanks, new high tier tanks. And Gaijin is putting so much more modern stuff in and so many new maps that they just can't be bothered, seemingly, with the old maps, and the result we will see here. Okay, so again, I love the game. I want to see this game succeed for years to come, and Gaijin to earn money as much as they want, as long as it doesn't interfere with the gameplay enjoyment and also doesn't result in pay to win. Sadly, both things have actually occurred. More and more pay to win, which wasn't really the case in the very beginning of War Thunder when I started it nearly 6 years ago. Just let that sink in. A single game, playing it on nearly a daily basis for 6 years. Yeah. And then we saw a lot of the issues not being addressed. So, for example, the tank driving model dates back as far as closed beta. More on this in a moment. And I want to just show the problems via, just simply making a video about it and just showing you stuff. When I make a tank review, that's focusing on one tank, maximizing your capabilities in that one tank by avoiding the weaknesses and using the strength. And even then there is much to criticize, but it is always punctual about one tank, one plane, one ship. This represents a combination of issues. Maybe not all of them, not excessively, but some of the issues. So, abusive gameplay. Abusive gameplay is something that the majority of players are looking for, to have an unfair advantage or an advantage in the first place. It's Gaijin's job, in my opinion, to provide both teams with an equal chance to win, so that it is down to the players to make the difference when it comes to the tank's capabilities, when it comes to the fairness. And at certain battle ratings, we see a big discrepancy here between the nations. One nation might just lack the firepower, one nation might just lack the mobility, and then it comes to how this results in the nation's overall performance when facing a certain meta created by their own tanks and other nations' tanks that they have to face. So I'm talking here about Tank RB, obviously. I made a similar video recently about Air RP when it comes to the map design, but here more things interact with each other. So people want to have the unfair advantage, to get kills, to capture point, to win the game, to increase their silver line and RP earnings, to grind faster. That's a natural thing. That is a big portion of War Thunder's gameplay. No big surprise there. But there are infamous battle ratings where you face up tier after up tier, where you face one map after the other, or more or less the same map over and over again, and many more things that I could talk about here. And this is now a little bit of the gameplay experience. If this gameplay experience is just fundamentally wrong and it is punishing, in particular for new players, then something is wrong, because the majority of players then think about, should I spend money on this game? You know, and that directly affects Gaijin in the core, the main reason why they make this game. They don't make this game to have something to play. They don't make this game to look pretty. They make this game primarily to earn money. And that is nothing wrong. This is what video games are made for. Maybe somebody has a unique idea for making a game, of which then he later thinks that he can also make the big money. But, you know, it's a free-to-play title. You need to be, how should I say, it's about microtransactions, it's about, you know, getting a huge amount of players and to steadily improving the game and to steadily bring new content in that then creates more and more income for that gaming company. That's it in a very basic nutshell. Nothing new, nothing spectacular. However, now we have to talk about the tank driving models, their issues, and at the end, obviously, also the Gaijin stuff. So here I got killed in the first tank, and now I spawn in the second one and do the very same thing again. And the enemy team just then has not a lot of options other than to die. Here I skillfully dodged 2 shells. I don't know if they were aimed at me or if they were random. But there you can see I'm not the only one using this position. And again, it has been there for quite a while throughout the years and has not been addressed even in the reworks. So first of all, to add up here the things, abusive gameplay, everybody does it, you can't really blame them, it's a natural thing on an online video game, there is no honor, deal with it. So it's literally Gaijin's job to level the playing field. Not literally, but making it fair for both sides so that both sides have a chance. At least that's my opinion, where I think the most benefit comes for Gaijin and the players alike. Then we also have the map design issues themselves. So as you can see, this position and what else? Yeah, the map rotation. Map rotation is a big issue. I'm not talking here about Ash River. Ash River is a map that you get once in a while, and there is nothing too wrong with it except for, again, this positioning. But maps that I really despise for appearing on a regular basis are, for instance, Italy. I cannot stand playing over and over again in this extremely artificial map design that is Italy. And I get it over and over again. And then one match, then the second one, and 3, 4, 5, 6 times in a row. That's just bad. And then there are maps that are also in the map rotation for this battle rating bracket that I don't see for months. For instance, that I showed recently in the Black Cat video, the Port Novorossiysk, the one iteration. So that's a bit bad because I would love to play this map once in a while, but I never get it. Another good example is also what we had in the past, and that was Abandoned Factory, where you got at every single battle rating Abandoned Factory. Abandoned Factory is also a nice map, and if you get it over and over again, even this nice map can be really toxic, and you just stop playing the game because you never can use another designer. You can never approach another gameplay. If you're in a lightly armored tank and you don't know where to go, or if you haven't refined your playstyle, if you don't have the finest situation awareness, and you don't have a heavy tank at this battle rating, then yeah, deal with it, I guess. And again, you got it over and over again. Gladly this has been fixed, and now I guess, for me at least in my experience, I get Abandoned Factory in a healthy amount of rotation. So those are the easy things where you don't really expect this to be a problem, but it is. Yeah. So then we have the tank driving models, and they can divide it in basically 2 things, the tanks with tracks and then also the tanks with only wheels, or vehicles with wheels. I'm not talking here about the half tracks because they are somewhere in between and would be too special to talk about. In essence, the driving models go back to the closed beta state of tanks. So yeah, that's been a while, a few years actually. And I want to begin here with the wheeled vehicles. So on mud, they are extremely slow. Now I get it, it's mud, and therefore tanks were developed, all the things. Yeah. But when then a tank that has an all-wheel drive system and is powered by 8 wheels and is not too heavy is then slower than a mouse with having 5 times the horsepower to ton ratio, something's not right, right? And I tested this, for instance, in the valleys of certain maps like Mosdok. Yeah, that's a good example. There, the mouse is just simply faster or equally fast. The same goes then for driving onwards on inclinations directly, where then the tank doesn't move at all. At the same time, then on medium terrain or hard terrain preferably, the tank just completely spins out of control above 40 kilometers per hour. Therefore, Gaijin has introduced the driver assistance mode, or the cruise control if you will, of which I made a video about, a guide actually, 3 minutes long, that tells you everything that you need to know, and that is just fine. On the other hand, nobody has the information from in-game sources, so nobody that just doesn't watch YouTubers, and not every YouTuber has a guide about this, not criticizing people here, but just mentioning, and or is directly looking for that. And there is no information directly in game, except if you look in detail into the options and the controls, and not a lot of people are doing it in the first place. Then you have this bad gaming experience. So that needs a little bit of a rework, especially since the cruise control is still a crude system. The same goes for the overall responsiveness of the driver and the time of turning. Then we come to the tanks, and in particular the tanks that are stock with a bad crew are extremely painful. Today I tried to grind a little bit the Italian M4 Tipo or the Italian Sherman Firefly if you will, and well it was I had a fully upgraded crew, okay, so that was good, right? But then the tank was still stock, so I didn't have the engine, the transmission, the filters, and also not the suspension or the brakes or the tracks, which is the first researchable upgrade. Yeah, I was on flat terrain, medium terrain, and I tried to turn. The tank lacks neutral steering. I just simply didn't turn at all. Instead, after 30 or after like half a minute or a minute where I just was holding the A key and it didn't move, just for the lols and giggles, I pressed the W key and then the A, and suddenly I turned. But then the tank stopped again and didn't move at all. That a tank turns slowly, yes, but visually the tracks were actually rotating, and that is also a completely unfinished system. Either the tank doesn't have the horsepower to do it, or the tank should move, even in first gear, slowly. At least it rotates at all. Especially if you're in a casemate tank destroyer with a stock crew and stock tank. That is just horrible. That's so unfun. And to be honest, after years and years of development, I'm not quite sure if I would begin to play this game anymore as it was in the past, where it seemed to overall be better, where there was still a chance of development. But this is now the result of years of development. And that then comes back to some other issues like the bug when you go downhill and the gear shifting bug, where you are in a high horsepower to ton ratio tank going downhill and you just don't accelerate because the driver is constantly shifting up and down, up and down, up and down, so that you are actually going faster on level terrain instead of going downhill with the same terrain class, so medium, hard or soft, which is hilarious. It is completely broken. That is just messed up. As much as this position, by the way. So the next thing is, I want to mention here two more things before the gameplay comes to an end. I want to criticize it so that there is a certain awareness, and this is something that is completely unfun. Gaijin doesn't really profit, in my opinion, by certain earnings, except if Gaijin wants to frustrate people in order to, buy every single module with golden eagles and just spend more and more real money on the game. I mean, there is a certain need for it to happen. Obviously, that's the reason for Gaijin to make the game, make no mistake. But at some point, it's just too much, and they never adapted to it with the grind. Now we have battle rating 10.0 tanks, main battle tanks, you know, just saying. At the end, there is then the final point of criticism, and that's the Gaijin staff itself. And I cannot believe that so many little and big problems are still in the game while Gaijin staff itself is still playing the game. The CEO itself claims to play the game. I cannot believe this. I cannot believe that the game is in such a state throughout the game modes, throughout the vehicles, ships, planes, tanks alike, with people actually playing this at the head of Gaijin. So either there are two things. First of all, they don't play the game, which would be bad enough, or even worse, if they play the game, they don't even bother about the problems and think it's fine and actually wait for the players to make then a bug report, which is not too easy by itself, or they just don't care and just the problems pile up before they can address them. Look at how long it took before they addressed the L7. It took them years before correcting the accuracy and the APDS. And so this is the reminder for Gaijin, if they bother to fix anything at all, that there are problems in the game that just suck out the fun. And if there is no fun, why would you spend money on the game? That's it for me today. So thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Please let me know in the comment section about your opinion. And as usual, give this video a like if it did, subscribe if you want to see more, and we'll see each other on the battlefields of War Thunder.